It's a balance sport in which we string a 1-inch or 2-inch wide piece of webbing between two objects and walk on it.
The Tight Wire Act.
The main physical difference between highlining and tightrope walking is the characteristic of what we're walking on.
He's doing a Spanish dance right on the wire.
A tightrope is held in place with guy lines along the length of it, so it's very rigid.
A difficult forward somersault.
With slacklining, the line is free to move. So we can be bouncing up and down, swinging side to side, and still stay on top of the line. The history of slacklining dates back to the late 70s in Yosemite. Climbers would walk on the chains in the parking lot during their off days, and then that led into them starting to use gear that they would use for climbing normally, and walk on webbing between trees and Camp 4. In my first couple of high lines, when I first got to the line and I saw it, I just would freeze up. I wouldn't even want to even go near the line.
I think my first real high line would have been in Auburn, across the American River. It was too much. I wasn't able to walk it. It felt, just out in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't even tell what was up and down at some points. I was questioning a little bit if I had what it took to be a highliner.
Before, when I was first highlining about a year ago, I would get on my line and suddenly start to doubt the entire rigging system. I'm thinking about the anchors breaking, I'm thinking about the backup line blowing, and all these things, the worst can happen.
Highlining can be a safe sport. It can also be a very, very dangerous sport if you set up your lines incorrectly. The thing about slacklining is we are forced to interact with gear. There's no way to slackline if you don't have equipment. And if you don't set your equipment up correctly, it can be dangerous or even fatal.
I kept struggling across the lines until one day I just thought about why I was struggling, and it just hit me that I need to either trust the gear or not highline. And so I kind of went back to the drawing board a little bit and just did all the math on my gear and what kind of loads I'm putting on it, and I was satisfied with that.
For me to just get onto the line and think about only walking the line, I realized I have to be absolutely sure that the rigging is good. And so I learned to go around both anchors, go check the anchors, go check if there's any places where the span set could be rubbing. And for me, that was just a part of the practice.
There's something special about highlining that's a whole process. It's not just what you can see on the picture where the person is floating in the middle of the air. You'll need eventually a lot of people to help you, to support you in your practice. And then once you know how to slackline, you need to find those people and those places where you can highline. You need to get to those places. You need some gear, you need some help, you need to hike sometimes, you'll need to camp, to prepare your food, to do whatever you need. When you're on the line and you're attached and you're safe, it's really the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole story behind it.
I believe that a fear of heights is a very natural thing, but I have always sought heights. I've always loved being up high. And when I'm on a high line, I always look straight down and just take in the exposure, enjoy the fact that I'm floating 1 inch from flying. I love it up there.
I feel like highlining is putting yourself in a super unstable environment, stepping out of your comfort zone and then trying to find balance. Trying to learn how to manage life, basically. Life is unstable. There's no stable ground, really. And it's teaching you how to stay really strong when everything is moving around you or under your feet.
You find your own mojo in life, and this is what I have found personally for now in my life. It's, for me, a personal practice that's allowing me to come into myself, more and more into myself, into my center.
I'd say I'd have a boring life without highlining, but I feel like highlining makes up for that in a major part. It's definitely dominated my life, but if I wanted to do anything else, I'd be doing it.
I remember some words of wisdom which are simply, all you need to do is stand up and walk. And so I start to stand up and then I start to walk. And sometimes you fall.
If you're not doing what you love, then why don't you just do it? Just pursue it and good things will come.